Imagine waking up one morning to an empty bed, a silent phone, and a note instead of a goodbye. No warning, no "I'm sorry." Just gone. That day changed everything. She left without goodbye, but her silence was the most painful message of all. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then I realized she hadn't gone to work. I ran my hand over the cold sheets, hoping I'd find her warmth still there, but it had already vanished. On the bedside table lay a thin envelope with her familiar handwriting. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. I couldn't open it right away. Something in me knew that once I read those words, nothing would ever be the same. We were laughing. Just last night, sitting under the soft glow of a lamp, talking about nothing and everything. And now she was gone. I finally opened the note. It only said, "I had to go. I'm sorry." That was it. No explanation, no promise to return, just a final breath of ink on paper. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the walls that still echoed with her laughter. My heart pounded, not in anger, but in disbelief. How could someone you love vanish overnight, leaving only silence in their place? Memories flooded me, cooking together, sharing quiet moments on rainy afternoons, her falling asleep on my shoulder during late-night movies. But there were signs I missed: her distant gaze when she thought I wasn't looking, the way her smile sometimes faltered. I brushed it off, thinking love alone was enough to hold us together. If only I had asked her what weighed on her heart. If only I had listened more. Days blurred into nights. I wandered the apartment like a ghost. Her sweater was still under my pillow, carrying the faint scent of her perfume. I held it close, my chest aching with every breath. I typed messages to her. "Please tell me why," just one word. No response. Each time my phone buzzed, hope shattered as quickly as it formed. Pain wasn't sudden. It was relentless, crawling under my skin, filling every corner of my mind. I left her seat untouched at the breakfast table. I stopped opening the curtains because sunlight felt cruel without her. Then one evening, searching through her drawer, I found a medical file with her name on it. My hands shook as I unfolded the papers. The words blurred through my tears. A diagnosis, a battle she never mentioned. She had been sick, dying, and she faced it alone. She didn't leave because she stopped loving me. She left because she couldn't bear to let me watch her fade away. That note wasn't abandonment, it was sacrifice. She walked away to protect me from witnessing her pain. I collapsed on the floor, clutching those papers, sobbing harder than I ever had. I thought I had been abandoned, but in truth, I had been loved more deeply than I could comprehend. She hid her suffering just to let me remember her with a smile instead of sorrow. I started retracing our steps, our favorite cafe, the park, bench where she rested her head on my shoulder, the bookstore where she'd spend hours lost in stories. At every stop, I heard her voice in my mind. "I love you more than anything. Promise me we'll be okay." These whispers became my guide, teaching me that her departure wasn't the end of our love, but its purest expression. Back home, I built a quiet corner for her, a framed photo, her favorite flower in a vase, her sweater folded neatly beside a candle. I whispered into the stillness, "I forgive you. I love you. I always will." Healing began slowly, like a dawn breaking after a long, cold night. Months passed. I learned to carry her love forward instead of drowning in grief. I started volunteering at a hospice, helping others face the battles she fought alone. One day, sitting on that same park bench, I saw a woman crying quietly, pain written all over her face. Without thinking, I offered her my hand. At that moment, I realized love doesn't die when someone leaves. It transforms into kindness we share with the world. That night, I wrote one last message I'd never send. "Thank you for leaving. You taught me that love is more than holding on. It's letting go with dignity." She left without goodbye, but she didn't leave in hate. She left because sometimes love speaks in silence, and healing begins within that silence. Some departures aren't endings at all. They're unspoken acts of love, guiding us toward who we're meant to become. And if you're listening to this, aching from someone's absence, know this: you are not alone. Your pain can one day bloom into purpose. And in that purpose, you'll find that even silent goodbyes can echo with love forever. Days turned into weeks, but time didn't heal. It only stretched the ache wider. I tried to live like nothing happened, wake up, go to work, talk to people, but inside I was collapsing. The world kept moving while mine stood frozen at the moment she walked away. I'd see couples laughing on park benches, and my chest would tighten. I avoided places we loved because every corner carried her shadow. One rainy afternoon, I found myself standing outside the little flower shop where I used to buy her daisies. She once told me daisies were flowers that smile. I bought a bunch without thinking and carried them home. Placing them in the same vase she used, I whispered, "You deserved more smiles than I ever gave." I began reading her medical reports in detail. Every page stabbed me with guilt. She had been fighting a silent war long before she left. She went to appointments alone, hid her pain behind soft smiles. I remembered nights she said she was tired and wanted to sleep early. I thought it was stress, but it was her body giving up. The realization crushed me. While I dreamt of forever with her, she was quietly preparing for goodbye. One night, I dreamt of her. She stood by the lake where we once had our first date. She looked radiant like she used to before the illness. She smiled and said, "Don't follow my footsteps. Walk your own. Be happy for me." I woke up with tears streaming down my face, my heart pounding. That dream felt like a message, a bridge between her absence and my shattered soul. But grief has a way of twisting even dreams. The following days, I started blaming myself. Maybe I wasn't enough for her to stay. Maybe my love didn't heal her pain. Maybe she deserved someone stronger. I spiraled into self-doubt, blocking myself away from the world. Friends tried to pull me out, but I couldn't explain what it felt like to have someone you love vanish without a word. Until one day, my old friend Mark sat me down and said, "James, love doesn't leave because it's weak. It leaves because it's strong enough to protect the person it loves." Those words stuck. That evening, I went to our favorite hilltop where we used to watch sunsets. I sat there alone, feeling the wind brush past, and finally spoke out loud to her as if she could hear me. "You thought you were sparing me pain, but you've left me carrying both of our sorrows. Still, I understand now. And I promise to live the life you wanted for me." From that day, my healing had a direction. I didn't just want to survive. I wanted to honor her sacrifice. I started journaling every memory of her. I could recall our inside jokes, the way her hair felt when she cooked, the little humming sound she made when she painted. I filled pages until my hands cramped. Through writing, I felt her alive again. Not as someone who laughed, but as someone who still walked beside me invisibly. Months passed. I joined a support group for people dealing with loss. Listening to strangers share their heartbreak made me realize grief is universal. It's the price we pay for deep love. A widower there told me, "Some people never leave. They just change the way they stay." That night, for the first time, I slept peacefully knowing she was still here, just differently. I decided to visit her family. Walking up their porch, I felt nervous, wondering if they blamed me for not noticing her struggle. But when her mother opened the door, she simply hugged me and whispered, "She loved you so much. She wanted you to remember her with laughter, not hospital beds." Tears welled in both our eyes. We spent hours sharing stories about her childhood, her dreams, her stubborn kindness. It felt like finding missing pieces of her I never knew. Through her family, I learned she had written letters before she left. One was for me. They handed it to me carefully, as if it were made of glass. My hands shook as I opened it. Her words read, "James, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not because I wanted to leave you, but because I wanted to leave you whole. I couldn't let you see me fade away. I wanted you to remember me smiling, dancing, teasing you, not lying weak in a hospital bed. Loving you has been my greatest joy, and leaving you is my greatest pain. Please don't waste your life mourning me. Live twice as much for both of us." I pressed that letter to my chest, crying harder than ever, but with a strange peace blooming inside me. It felt like her hand was on my shoulder, guiding me toward light. After that, I started changing my life step by step. I quit the soulless job I hated and began working with charities, helping patients fight illnesses alone. Every time I held someone's hand in pain, I saw her reflection strong, selfless, protective. People would ask why I cared so much, and I'd simply smile, because someone once taught me what real love looks like. Years rolled on. I learned to laugh again, not out of forgetting, but out of remembering her joy. One spring morning, sitting at the same lake from my dream, I met someone. She wasn't like her no one could be, but she carried her own light, her own scars. We started talking, two wounded souls finding warmth in each other's honesty. I told her my story one day, every painful detail. She didn't pity me. She held my hand and said, "She didn't leave you, James. She's the reason you found me." I realized then that love doesn't end when someone walks away, or even when life itself ends. True love plants seeds in you, shaping every choice, every kindness, every breath you take. I still visit her favorite places, still keep her picture in my home, still talk to her when I'm alone. I imagine her smiling, whispering, "You made it, James. You turned goodbye into something beautiful." And I know deep down that even though she left without goodbye, her love never left me. Sometimes at night, I write letters addressed to her and leave them under my pillow. Letters telling her about my day, about the people I've helped, about the woman who now shares my journey. I imagine her reading them from wherever she is, nodding proudly. And to anyone listening who's felt the sting of someone leaving without explanation, know this: you're not broken. You're being reshaped by a love that's too powerful to fade. Let their silence teach you to live louder, to love deeper, to cherish every moment before it slips away. She left without goodbye, but her absence wrote the most profound chapter of my life. One that didn't end with loss, but with transformation. One that taught me that sometimes love says goodbye, only so it can stay with us forever. Unseen but unforgotten.